welcome back
to another week
of Sometimes Crypto.
The unscripted
Crypto.
Why are you doing this so broken up podcast? Hey yo.
I don't know. It's unscripted. Gotta keep it.
Unscripted?
Yeah. If we keep on doing it the same way all the time.
We're pretty unscripted. I think we've added to it.
We have added to it. We added the AO.
That's added a while ago, though.
You added that a while ago. Yeah.
And that was for endings. You added it in the beginning. Not the point.
I think we might have taken out some stuff too.
Maybe.
No, it's not true.
Oh, we forgot to say your favorite crypto podcast. I think. Or was that one? Yeah, whatever.
Favorite crypto podcast. I think
I don't remember.
I don't know. Something like that.
So what are we talking about today, my dude?
Well, as the title suggests,
they don't know what the title is, Alex.
They do because they're
no.
We don't know what the title is.
Yeah. But they won't know until we decide.
That is true. We will decide. But by the time they're listening to this, they would know. Come on, dude. We're talking about the environmental effects of crypto. I said that a little weird.
You said that really weird.
I said that a little weird, didn't I?
You look at camera and just butchers it. You want to say we're looking at the environmental effects crypto can have or has?
Yes, that seems more
cohesive.
More cohesive, yeah. That's
right.
That's a solid clause right there.
Hope so.
But yeah, the environment and crypto and how they correlate.
You good there? How they correlate?
I don't know what to tell you about him. This guy's making me nervous.
This is the new thing we're doing the podcast. We're gonna go like this, Alex.
This guy's making me nervous.
How am I making you nervous?
I don't know. I get nervous around you.
I think the camera makes you nervous. Just things like maybe one extra person seeing you. That's enough.
Just one person.
For honestly, just one.
No, honestly, I think it's just more so me looking back at the camera in the future. And be like, oh man.
Why are you gonna look back at it? Just do what I do. Don't look at it.
Fair.
Ask me how many things I've listened to or seen of us.
How many things have you listened to?
I've only seen one video, which was the real.
The real.
Which because I had to see it because you wanted me to see it. Other than that, I've seen no full on video of us.
You know we're gonna see more reels coming up, right?
I know.
You're gonna have to see them all. Yeah,
that's a later problem. We're not there yet.
We're gonna. And if you don't, even if you don't want to see them, I hope you see them naturally.
They just pop up on my feed.
Just scrolling and it just pops up.
We just go out to. I can see why people on YouTube may click out, but when we start these videos,
because they're like they're not talking about crypto.
They're just talking hella trash.
All right. Well, yeah. Let's get into it then.
We'll work on it.
We're getting better for you guys. Let's get into it. So I had done some research, but specifically the majority of my research, as my standard fashion, happened to be centered around Bitcoin. But that's not all of it.
He's a very
that's not all of
easygoing guy.
That's not all of it. I got some other stuff also.
All right.
But how do you want to kick it off?
I don't know. It's unscripted. I just thought we were gonna. What effects does crypto have on the planet, if any? Is it killing the planet?
Well, no.
Is it destroying it?
You know,
are we doing? How does that movie do when it's a movie, or maybe it's an anime or a show? These aliens come from another world and just absorb all the resources from Earth and then go to other planets. I think that's a cartoon.
Is that like
maybe?
Isn't that like Superman's?
I think so. That's Brainiac from Superman.
Brainiac from Superman.
Yes, he goes planet to planet, just absorbing all the information from planets. Is that what crypto? And then destroys the planet, of course. Is that what crypto is doing to our planet right now, Alexander?
Is
it killing us? Are we gonna die?
No.
Thank God. I got nervous.
Crypto's not gonna kill us.
It was a joke, guys. I know it's not gonna kill us.
If anything,
AI will.
I don't think AI is gonna kill us.
You don't know. Did you see what happened last time with AI? What ChatGPT did? We'll get into that a little later in this episode.
I was gonna say. I was like, this guy just told me that we're not getting on.
Yeah, but that's a great conversation.
That is a great conversation.
We'll have it a little later. Continue.
I know. Contrary to popular belief.
Got you.
Crypto is actually helping out the planet in many ways.
Oh, more than one?
More than one. More than one.
Can they fact check you on this?
Yeah, they can.
All right.
These are things that I'm gonna be talking about things that have happened and how people are using blockchain technology to help environmental causes.
Shoot, tell us.
Well,
Yes.
Hold on.
What?
I got examples of like how people are helping out the environment.
Alrighty.
But I believe you got some like statistics, like numbers.
I got Google searches. That's what I got. I don't know what you mean statistics. I'm not a giant. I'm not a scientist, or not.
I don't know. You hit me with like some crazy number earlier. I was like, okay, cool. But what did that have to do with anything?
What?
Okay, because I'll just get into it.
Are you just trying to throw the ball to me very poorly?
I'll just get into it. Because I feel like, okay, look. I got like a handful of like examples of like things that are going on, but like I feel like there's no cohesion to it. Like it doesn't like
it's not coherent.
It's not coherent. Just a bunch of different things. It's just done.
Then why don't you shoot one off, and then I will tie it into the next one.
You'll tie one in.
Trust me, son.
All right. Well, we can start off with one of the biggest leaders in crypto.
What do you mean? And what?
One of the biggest leaders.
Bitcoin?
El Salvador.
Oh, what happened with Salvador?
El Salvador is obviously doing this whole Bitcoin city. Where
that's still going on?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any updates.
Yeah, so
are there updates on that?
El Salvador issued out some bonds where they were pretty much taking money from individuals, ensuring them that they will be giving them a dividend in the future at the termination of the bond. They'll be coming from the profits that they generate would be coming from Bitcoin mining that they are doing at a volcano called the Tecap volcano.
Yeah, they're doing
geothermal energy. Yeah, energy is being used to mine Bitcoin there. Essentially, that volcano produces so much steam and has opportunity to harvest so much electricity that El Salvador has no idea what to do with it. If it's a resource,
then why don't they just sell it?
Then that's what they're doing. They're mining Bitcoin to sell the electricity.
What?
Well, like essentially mining of Bitcoin or mining any crypto that comes from proof of work. Mm-hmm. It is capturing the use of that electricity into a transferable form.
Yeah, I know that much.
So in mining Bitcoin with the electricity generated from the steam of these volcanoes, it now gives that country, El Salvador, the opportunity to sell that resource to anyone.
But sell the Bitcoin.
To sell the Bitcoin.
But no, but my question is, why weren't they just harvesting the energy? Or is it one of those they just couldn't?
You harvest the energy, you got to store it. Or you got to transfer it and have it used.
Yeah.
Transferring it's not easy.
Because they provide just pure electricity off of it. That's right.
Yeah, because these.
No, I see. No, my fault.
This electricity's out in the mountains, like middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's not like oil that you can easily transport. And the batteries, you can't charge enough batteries to hold it.
Exactly.
Hold the charge.
And
100%. You're right.
As it's being transferred, it loses.
Power.
Power. Yeah. So best thing to do is mine it at the site, mining Bitcoin at the site, and then transferring the Bitcoin out somewhere, selling it for someone for goods and services.
Yeah.
Which El Salvador, what they're using is a bond. They're issuing bonds with the idea of like selling Bitcoin in the future to pay back the interest rate on those bonds.
Oh, they're gonna use they're issuing the bond. You're gonna sell the Bitcoin to pay back the bondholders.
Mm-hmm. And whatever extra profit is going to be used into building that city.
Oh, okay. That's gonna take a minute.
Yeah. It is going to take a minute.
At that rate.
Depends on how good they are at trading.
Well, no, it'd be how good they are at their people buying the bonds.
Well, yeah. So people buying the bonds will determine how much money is being put in initially.
Yeah.
But then also, depending on how long they hold those bonds for, or like how long they hold the Bitcoin, or how they invest that money, depends on like their specific return on investment, because A, they got to pay off the bondholders. If not, the people lose trust in the government. And then B, they need to have money after that to infrastructure.
Yeah.
which specifically they're using initially for Bitcoin mining. Then everything after that would be into making a like sustainable city, like a city focused around the geothermal energy being produced from that volcano.
To power the city?
To power the city, to power the Bitcoin mining.
That's a lot of infrastructure to move all that.
A bunch of infrastructure, but I'm pretty sure they're going to try to make that like the capital in the future.
It would make money.
It would make sense.
Well, closer. Not to get off topic.
There's a little bit of speculation, but
Yeah, not to get off topic, though. Isn't it kind of crazy how they're just getting close to a volcano that can erupt at like some random point, and just be like, "Oh, we'll be okay." Like if it goes off, we'll be fine. Like it's not gonna spew some like ash in the air, like type of an ordeal. I mean,
so I'm sure that there is some type of like research done.
no, there ain't. Not sufficient. It's a volcano. It can do whatever it wants, whenever it wants.
That is true. It is natural and unpredictable, but they're probably heavily monitoring it. So that is the biggest risk of investment there. It's like explosion.
I think
that's the big risk of investment.
Yeah,
unless they keep everything in Bitcoin and then they still got the Bitcoin. Like the Bitcoin's not destroyed, just the miners.
I'm not gonna get into this with you right now. I just feel like that's a whole thing on its own that we'll get into, and I don't want to deal with that.
I'm pretty sure we actually talked about this before.
Probably. Okay, so you see that ties in great, actually, because it kind of applies to here in the U.S., specifically Texas, how they're using smaller like wells, like oil wells that were made, or gas wells, like natural gases that can't be used. They're using those gases to power Bitcoin miners.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's actually one of the things I wanted to talk about too. I thought it was really cool.
Okay.
Methane collection.
Correct.
So they're pretty much putting vacuums outside and just sucking up air.
Oh, that's not the one I'm talking about.
Oh no?
No.
Okay, cool.
So mine's is they're actually actual like oil wells, and then the oil wells produce the methane. Typically, what they do is they just let the methane out into the atmosphere, and then it pollutes. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing is they're capturing that methane that's being produced and putting it into the mine, like running it to power the miners.
So you're saying that these are specifically small wells?
Yeah, like they're just
aren't being used.
Yeah, or that are on land that have been left alone because we don't really produce oil like that, and they're so small that the things that they do produce is like not useful.
I see. Yeah, no. From what I was reading, whenever they tap into a new well, let's say it is a big usable well, it still takes time for them to put the pipe in and just get everything pretty much sealed off. And in that process, a bunch of methane air does come out anyways.
Okay.
So like even in just like trying to use a whole well, there's still going to be that pollution of methane that gets released into the air. So then they put in those vacuums to like pick up whatever's being polluted, just to try to recapture that and lower the overall emissions of that operation.
Yeah,
that's in Texas.
Yeah, mine's is in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Which those are also like smaller miners that are doing it, and they're also using older.
That methane at the end of the day still gets used. Like they have to burn the methane. It's not just gas. It's like that's natural gas that needs to be burned to generate to pump an engine.
Yeah, but it reduces the amount like they're saying is
reduce the amount of waste.
Yeah, that's already being created.
Yeah, that's already being created. Correct. That's a good thing.
Yeah, so it's like taking your car produces the exhaust. It's taking the exhaust and using it for something else, and it's creating another exhaust that's less than where it started.
Yep,
I think that made sense.
Yeah, it's being more efficient with the resources that we already have, and that's not even like I want to say that's green energy, but that's greener.
It's just being less wasteful.
It's less wasteful.
It's using more of the bottom.
Yeah, it's not a renewable source. It's not coming from a renewable source.
No.
Yeah. But it is less wasteful in general, which is good. Like, it's like one rule in economics: try to be as useful, like efficient as possible.
Efficient. That's why hydroponic is so useful. Is it hydroponic or is it no? hydroelectric.
Hydroelectric is the use of creating electricity using.
Yeah, that's actually one of the most popular ways for Bitcoin mining.
Companies like Tesla and what was the other one? Those two companies that was buying that were buying or making solar panels, investing into solar panels to use in Texas for Bitcoin mining. I don't know if they're still doing that though.
I feel like that one takes the sun takes more to create power.
It's more so like solar panels aren't super great.
Yeah,
at capturing that. Yeah, the sun, because the sun produces a bunch of
but
ridiculous amounts.
Our ability to capture is not.
Yeah, our ability to capture is just not
the best right now.
No, but knowing that is a stream of revenue that could potentially exist for cheap electricity, incentivizes research and development for that.
Yeah. So, not going off topic, staying on topic, but just deviating. There was an article that came out.
Okay.
Saying that Germany just shut down its last 3 nuclear power plants.
Last 3?
Yeah, it had 3 more. They shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were talking about how they're going away from. They're saying how they're doing it because of Chernobyl and all these things that have occurred through in Germany. They're like, we want to go away from that and go to like
Fukushima.
Yeah, Fukushima is the one they brought up, and I don't know. I feel like that's
a big waste.
That's a big waste, isn't? Because nuclear is the most efficient form of energy.
So nuclear is like, in terms of like what we could produce right now.
Correct.
It is the powerhouse. That thing churns out electricity like nothing, because it works like the volcano pretty much.
Yeah.
Just the only difference is the volcano uses Earth's core
to be the plant.
Yeah.
Whereas here we're creating a plant to do that.
We create a plant. Yeah, we create a core. But there is nuclear waste with that, and so there's 2 things. There's the nuclear waste, which is kind of irrelevant
because we've gotten better at it.
The thing is, we gotten better at it, but the nuclear waste, you could dump that in space.
Stop! We gotta stop this. Stop it! That's lit. You see, this is how this man gets canceled without even being able to get canceled. Just saying stupid stuff like this. You see what I gotta deal with?
Look. The thing is, we need to do something with that nuclear waste. It's not gonna disappear anytime soon.
First of all, it will never disappear.
Oh, no, it will. Just
take a minute.
Take a way longer than a minute, but yeah.
Listen, from what I saw was the newer nuclear power plants that we can create would be less wasteful.
Oh, okay.
In the amount, but also they're safer.
Yeah, I think the biggest risk is more so like the aftermath is something where to go down.
Yeah, but like it's like when the ones that did go down went down, it wasn't because they weren't being well maintained. There's a whole bunch of things that caused it. But not the point I was trying to get to. The point I was trying to get to was that for running miners would be the best way. It would be
oh, bro, that'd be crazy. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it would make a bunch of clean energy. Cleaner. That's essential clean.
So why aren't we doing nuclear?
Why are we not doing nuclear?
Nuclear.
Why is America not investing in nuclear energy?
Yes.
Because it has risks associated with it. Specific risk number 1, prime target for terrorist attack.
We already have those.
Terrorist attacks?
No, the prime targets we already have nuclear power plants.
Yeah, correct. But you want more?
Better ones.
True.
I'm saying we don't.
Still.
No. What I'm saying is we don't have to do more. We can just start creating new ones and then shut off the old ones.
So there's actually like this little technology that I saw. I don't know if it's
that can be done. I don't know if that can be done.
If what turn
one on, like build a new one, turn that one on, then turn the other one off.
You can turn off the other one, but
no, we want a new one though too.
You can turn off the other one, but you still have the same. You still have waste. You still have that waste to deal with.
We're gonna have waste either way. We still have waste.
Yeah. You're correct. But there's like this company working on like tubes. I don't know how big they were, but they're shouldn't be bigger than this room, essentially.
Okay.
By this room, I mean like wall to wall, so like a cylinder type thing. that would go into the ground.
All right.
And that would be a small nuclear reactor. Tiny nuclear reactor spread across. So that if something were to happen to that specific thing, the damage would be super minimal compared to like a big one, like Fukushima.
I see.
So the idea would be to have multiple like small plants like that. The only issue is that your attack surface gets much bigger.
Your what?
Attack surface. So like you, instead of having one big nuclear power plant that you protect very well, having a lot. If something were to go wrong there, you'd have like big catastrophe versus small ones. You have a higher likelihood of those small ones getting hit.
Question: Fukushima is the one that went off in China,
Japan.
I didn't remember. Sorry,
it was Japan. The only thing is that
but wasn't that
I don't remember is if it was because I know there was an earthquake and a tsunami, and that power plant went off. I just don't know which order that went on in.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if like I think it was an earthquake caused a tsunami and a tsunami like messed with the power plant. Something there happened, but it was a combination of those three things. Chernobyl was one in.
That was different.
Yeah, that's Russia.
Was it
Russia?
Germany.
I don't know where Chernobyl is, but that's another one. That one's like, I want to say that was before my time, but I don't know how. I don't even know when that was. I just know that was a big thing. Sure.
Also don't know where.
What? You know where what?
Where it is. Now the internet stopped working.
Oh, okay, yeah. It was Chernobyl. It was Ukrainian SSR.
Okay, so that's when they saw the SSSR.
Yeah, way before my time.
It was your grandpa's time.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why I didn't. Oh, we're actually, you know what? We're coming up on the anniversary for that. It happened April 26th.
What year?
1986.
A little before your time.
Yeah. Just a smidgen before my time.
Okay, but that's what I was wondering. I'm like, we should
use more power plants.
Well, I'm a nuclear proponent. I think we should be using more nuclear. I don't care who wants. We can argue that one today. I'm cool with this being an argument.
I'm cool with that one. I was like, I'll defend that one.
I can defend that.
I can defend that. Nah, yeah, nuclear power plants are cheaper electricity. I mean, if we want to save the world by going out fully electric, there's no way we can do that without nuclear power plants in the mix.
Yeah. Also, I think it's
underrated.
No, definitely underrated. But also, it's kind of like, people want to say, oh, just stop using coal and stop using oil and just go straight to renewable.
You need to replace it with something.
What? No, but
the coal and oil.
Yeah, and you have to also create the infrastructure.
Correct. Yeah,
it's not just like turn one off and turn the other on.
Yeah,
it's like you got to switch.
To stop coal production and oil production around the world. Okay, cool. What do you do with all these machinery now?
That run on oil and coal.
Like, I'm not even talking about cars. I'm talking about like infrastructure, like building. Like
yeah. I'm agreeing. I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
There's so much stuff like the tractors, forklifts. Like.
Just powering a tractor with a bunch of batteries would be kind of annoying.
You know what? Speaking of, one of the biggest polluters in the world is the construction industry. Naturally, because of the heavy machinery. And then also, what's it called? Cement mining.
Cement plants?
Cement mining, yeah. Like,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. Bitcoin doesn't come close to that.
To which one?
Construction.
How much do they pollute? How much CO2 do they release?
A metric fuck ton.
Gee, I mean, obviously it's a metric
ton.
But like, I want to know because I know how much Bitcoin produces.
I'll look for some data right now, William.
This guy, because Bitcoin produces approximately, because you can't really get an exact number on it, about 25 to 15 metric tons of CO2 a year, which accounts for about 4 to 8% of total U.S. greenhouse gas emissions. This is also found on the fact sheet, Climate Energy Implications of Crypto, on the whitehouse.gov.
Can you repeat that? I feel like there's like some nuance there that needs something that you said that seemed interesting.
25 to 50 metric tons of CO2, or that accounts for 4.4 to 0.08% of total U.S.
Okay, 0.4 to 0.08% of.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 0.4 to 0.8. I apologize.
To 0.8. And you said the entire Bitcoin network produces that much?
See?
Yeah, because I was like, that seems.
So this is crypto activity estimated in the United States.
Okay, I see. Okay, yeah, because I was going to say, I was like, well, if the entire Bitcoin network, specifically, if all crypto networks produce, I thought it was 4 to 8% of the U.S., I was like, imagine that on a 4%. Yeah, I know. It's not. Yeah, I was gonna say, imagine that at a global scale. Yeah. But it's not even 4%.
Yeah, the exact question I asked was how much CO2 does Bitcoin mining emit? So that's what it emits for mining it within the U.S.
You don't have a global number there? So, because it says here, at least I'm looking at the WEF website, wefforum.org. And it looks like, I see 40% of global energy-related CO2 emissions. Building and operations.
What?
Construction?
Oh.
Accounts for 40% of the global energy-related CO2 emissions.
Give me a second.
Bitcoin's like not even at 1%, right?
Correct. I'll get you a global number now.
0.4. Where's my button?
It's 0.3% of greenhouse gases.
0.3%?
Globally. It's about... So crypto assets, just all of crypto assets, account for 140 plus minus 30 million metric tons of carbon dioxide per year. That's a very large range.
It is a large range.
But then it says about 0.3. Also found in the same White House paper that will probably be in the reference below at some point.
Which White House was that? Which
Our White House?
No, I bet I said that wrong.
I don't know, man. You said which White House?
Which fact sheet was that? Because I saw a fact sheet earlier today too, and I was like, I saw one fact sheet. I saw someone quote a fact sheet, and I looked for that fact sheet, and I couldn't find that fact sheet. I was like, okay, hold on, can't be.
This is when you need to have a Mac dog, so I can just airdrop it to you.
Just send that over.
I have to do a whole Google thing, go to Docs, do this whole thing.
Gotta open up Google. These things. Oh, so you were talking about recapturing methane from these oil rigs. And that's actually one of the things I saw on that fact sheet, that like the one that I'm talking about, that said like the White House, according to this one. But again, I couldn't find the actual one from the White House website, where it said that crypto mining operations that capture vented methane to produce electricity can yield positive results for the climate. Supposedly, it looked like it came out September 2022, but I need to look for it. So, I mean, I haven't verified it yet. But there was this another power plant, a coal plant in Pennsylvania, that's doing something similar, but for coal. What they're doing is they're gathering already used coal and filtering through it, looking for coal that could be used again, like still usable, to power up their miners. And well, the reason why that's not being done now for people who are not mining Bitcoin is because the return on investment for like looking for that reusable coal is so small that doesn't really make sense.
It's not cost effective.
Yeah, it's not cost effective.
So that's also one of the biggest proponents that I saw for mining was how cheap they can get the energy for. Kind of why a lot of crypto miners go to Texas, because they have their own power grid. So they're able to buy the power from the state of Texas themselves. So they're able to negotiate on like terms and agreements on how to borrow it, becoming essentially cheaper than the U.S. power, than using it in somewhere else.
Yeah, essentially the whole market for proof of work blockchains is just who has the most efficient technology and the cheapest electricity.
Yeah.
If you maybe don't have the most efficient technology, but you definitely have the cheapest electricity, like you somehow manage to get electricity for fractions of the whatever market price is, then you got a competitive advantage beyond. But let's say your electricity is not the greatest, your cost of electricity is not the greatest, but your technology is killer, then okay, you also got a competitive advantage there. So it's like there's two like competing factors, not competing factors, like factors that just like that kind of like help the balance on that. Like if you really advance electricity, the yield of electricity and your technology, then that's like where you have the most room for profitability for that blockchain.
Yeah. There was another plant that I saw in Texas that was being that is made, and they're making another one that also produces, what was it? I forgot how much Bitcoin it was, but they're using more up to date everything. And I don't remember how they used it. I think they're also trying to, like, the heat that comes out, I think they're trying to recapture it. Yes. Or I think there's a
Vancouver,
a miner.
Is it Texas?
I said Texas. It could be another one that I'm confusing.
North Vancouver is using the heat generated from mining Bitcoin to warm their cities, to warm buildings during winter.
How do they capture the heat?
They just capture it. Ducks.
But where are the miners then? That they're able to
they're probably spread out. So like, let's say each government building, instead of having a heater that just burns electricity to produce heat, just have a room full of Bitcoin miners, turn those miners on during winter, and vent out that heat into the building to keep the building warm.
Or you have to have a window open.
For that specific,
yeah,
that specific room. You definitely got to modulate that room's temperature to make sure that the computers don't overheat. Yeah, but for the most part, at least I saw a company that's making a individual like consumer heater.
That's a miner?
That's a miner. Yeah, we wouldn't technically use that here for Florida, but
not at all.
If you're in New York or
a colder state,
any cold
climate.
Yeah, any cold climate, just turn on the thing
and let it run.
Let it run. Your main focus at that point would be, I need warmth. You're getting the warmth, but now the machine is offsetting the cost for what it's doing.
Ideally,
yeah. It's essentially making that thing cheaper to run and operate.
Also, everything we're talking about kind of applies to all proof of work.
Specifically proof of work.
Only proof of work.
Yeah,
because proof of stake wouldn't use it or anything like that.
Proof of stake doesn't even use.
That's kind of why they're talking about how ETH. And one of the things I read was they're talking about how, but this was before the merge was announced or anything. This was just ETH talking about becoming proof of stake. They're like, ETH is going to be reducing like 99. The thing we said, 99% of its emissions were 96%. And that was because they're switching over.
Switching over from proof of work to
proof of stake.
Yep. Now, proof of stake definitely doesn't have any big concerns for
climate. No, it's mainly proof of work. So that's why it's mainly like people mainly talk about proof of. They mainly talk about Bitcoin. Yeah. Because it's the biggest network, has the most.
It's literally massive. It's got the most validators, most miners.
Decentralized.
And in terms of like actual like energy consumption, it's consumes more electricity than Argentina.
Well, it consumes more electricity than most small countries. But like, so I saw Michael Saylor talking about it, and it was kind of like he was saying it was if Bitcoin's I think at that point in time, I think it was like he used like 600, $700 billion asset, like the whole network.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, that's like 2%, 1% or 2% electricity used to one, be secure and to power an entire network. He goes, what else can do that? And he goes, even the financial system, our own, can't do that.
Yeah.
And for the amount of either admissions and energy consumption needed.
Someone, I think it was like an executive at Coinbase who used to work for the government also. He had like a testimony that he had to go and talk to officials, and then he was saying, he's like we need to start like measuring emissions based off of like certain like values or units produced. So like for gold, like how much emission is being produced for 1 ounce of gold versus for 1 Bitcoin, for example, for 1 unit of gold versus compared to 1 unit of Bitcoin. Or in the case of the financial system, how much CO2 or carbon emissions is being produced per transaction or per like value transacted.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, the Bitcoin network, like, it's killing the game.
Huh?
He said like with a market value of $600 billion and using less than 1%, less than 2%.
That's a number. I'm gonna be very honest. That's a very rough number.
Range. Yeah, because
I don't remember exactly. I saw it earlier today. It could be even less. Like it could have been a fraction of a percent.
Yeah. So the range is the reason why the range. I was actually reading something on that. Like the reason why the range is so big is because of the people that give those numbers.
Yeah.
Are part of the like the Bitcoin miners who have access to those numbers, and they're incentivized. Like someone was saying, is like they're incentivized to release good numbers because of the fact that like it makes the industry look good. But at the same time, they also said we can only get the numbers from them because they're the ones who are actually running it.
Yeah, it's from a report that they talk about that there's only like 40 or like 30 plus not exchanges, but miners that are partaking into it and that are giving their information to like to the consensus, or like it's an inaccurate number because not everyone's part of the group.
Yeah, not everyone's part of the group. There's a lot of people that mine on their own accord, and they have no correlation to that.
So that's why that's why everyone who's against Bitcoin, or not against, but saying that Bitcoin is hurting the planet, are giving these like statistics just because it's like they're looking at it more as they don't see Bitcoin as a usable object. Like if you don't see the thing that it's being produced with value, then of course what we're doing, all the emissions or whatever, is for no reason. Yeah, kind of like the reason that they're saying. I think I have the report here.
Yeah, the thing is useless. Then what's the point of wasting so much electricity on it?
That's like one of the things was Bitcoin emissions alone could push global warming above 2 degrees Celsius. 2 degrees Celsius. Which this was published back in October of 2018. So it's been a minute. But
2018. Yeah. Do you know how much the global temperature has raised since then?
No.
I'm curious. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. But let's see. Oh, there's this small like mountain range in Africa that has like 3 or 4 different power plants that are also hydroelectric. Just because that's the only way that they get electricity from over there. They don't have any coal. It's like a remote location, and they get they produce more electricity than they're able to use also. But what they started doing, was using all the extra leftover energy.
Okay.
connected the miners, connected Bitcoin miners via Starlink to the network.
Okay.
And are using that extra energy to run the miners and just like offset the electricity cost for, it was supposedly 1,600 different families.
For how many?
1,600. It's a very small group of people.
In
Like it's a mountain range in Africa. Malawi.
Okay.
Malawi, Africa. Yeah, so they're remote location. That's why they need to use Starlink. And since they don't use that much electricity, or there's not that they don't use that much electricity, it's just that the plant produces more electricity, and we still don't have an efficient way of storing electricity yet. So you need to use it for something.
That kind of happened when you were allowed to mine in China.
Mm-hmm.
There was a hydroelectric plant in China that during the dry season accounted for only like 10% of the Bitcoin of consumption of energy or production of energy for like the Bitcoin network or something of that nature. And then during the rainy season, it accounted for 50% of it because of the amount of power they would just produce.
50%?
Yeah.
Oh, because there's so much rain that the things are just running?
It would just run. Like, there would be an excess amount of power. So, like, well, I think, I remember the article now. It would shift from, there would be only 10% of the mining rigs were there, and then it would increase to 50%. Like, they would all move over there during the wet season. Because of the amount of power, just electricity that could be produced.
For cheap.
For dirt cheap.
So I don't know how much the temperature has risen since 2018.
Mm-hmm.
But according to climate.nasa.gov/vital-science, whatever, NASA website. It looks like the overall rise in temperature from year to year is slightly decreasing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Just a little bit?
Just ever so slightly.
Okay, that's...
Just ever so slightly.
I'm pretty sure it's a good thing.
Hey, I'd hope so. I'd hope everyone would agree that that's a good thing. But yeah. So we talked about the ways that proof of work is being used. Oh, you said something about hydroponics?
Not hydro. I didn't mean hydroponics. I meant hydroelectric.
Oh, okay.
But hydroponics is
also a thing that's being used.
What?
We're
using fish to make it Bitcoin?
We're not. Okay, my bad. We're using Bitcoin to make fish.
Huh? Not even more. How are we using Bitcoin to make fish now? I'm more confused.
So, essentially, using the warmth from Bitcoin miners to regulate temperatures of water to make sure that the water temperature is ideal for
the fishies. And then also for the plants that are above the fishies.
Well, now, that becomes more holistic and more like...
What do you mean holistic?
Well, like, okay, so these fishies are just being farmed for food, essentially. But if you set up the fishes in an environment where their water gets run in through like a filtering system by plants that we could also eat, and then at the end of that system just gets reused for the fishes. That's hydroponics.
Yeah.
Just adding and removing nutrients with a closed water loop. Then you create a system of sustainably sourced food and electricity. Essentially, you're making food that pays for itself.
Yeah,
because the Bitcoin is being mined because you are spending electricity. You need some type of like
to get it started.
Yeah, outside force, which is in this case electricity, to make sure that the water is warm for the fishes. But that electricity gets paid off with the Bitcoin. The fishes grow. We have a source of protein. They live their whole cycle. The water has nutrients that are released by the fish that gets filtered through
the plants. The plants grow. You can eat the plants. You create a whole thing. It's self-sufficient to a degree.
Yep. That is pinnacle.
Yeah, that's expensive. Not expensive to do.
It's not.
It's you need to know what you're doing.
You need to know what you're doing, and you can't. That doesn't operate in large scale.
No,
it doesn't operate in large.
Nothing reusable like that really is operation on large scale.
There's a certain cap in which how big that could be, and you're gonna have to do that in multiple locations.
Yeah, you're capping a few things there.
Yeah, definitely not mass production stuff.
But nothing really mass production is I think it's meant to be super friendly.
Correct. That's for sure. Anything mass production is not really meant to be. That's really difficult. Really hard to find something that's mass.
If anything, I think the bigger problem with miners and everything else is just the e-waste created by them.
Correct. I'm glad you brought that up. We didn't even talk about that.
Son, I'm telling you, what do you mean, man?
I was gonna move on to like proof of stake. How proof of work is the opposite from proof of stake because there's no electricity being no major amounts of electricity.
I was about to say, I'm like, there's electricity being used.
And then I was gonna go into like what's it called? Carbon credits.
We can get to ESG if you really want to. You want to get to carbon credits?
Yeah, carbon credits, but that's a.
We already have carbon credits.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Yeah, elaborate. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying. Oh, what are you talking about? No, I'm just saying
like for example, Ford, all these car manufacturers have carbon credits. They have an X amount of credits that they can use to produce vehicles or whatever. Mm-hmm. If they go over, they have to pay fines for going over those carbon credits. The reason Tesla makes money as well is because since they use so little of their carbon credits because they don't produce a whole lot of carbon, they sell it off, those carbon credits, to those companies to make some bread, and then they can also not get fined for overusing their carbon credits.
Yeah, so that goes into the ESG thing, where essentially companies are restricted with how much carbon they can produce.
But there's a loophole around it.
Okay, enlighten me.
I just said it. Whatever companies don't use all their carbon credits or have leftovers, they just sell to the companies that need it.
But that's not really carbon credits.
They're selling their carbon credits to another company so that they can have more carbon
That's
credits.
Allowed carbon usage.
That's a carbon credit.
That's not a carbon credit.
Yes, it is.
No. Reason why I'd say it wouldn't be a carbon credit is because that's just how much a governing entity is letting you use. But there's nothing that's saying that you are okay. For the use case that I would say is a carbon credit, it is you did something or something was done to remove carbon from the air, and now you have some type of representation that carbon was removed, and then transacting that allows will offset any carbon that you added on.
Yeah, but that's not a real carbon credit.
That is a real carbon credit.
I don't agree with that.
That is a real carbon credit.
I don't know if that is the case.
What you're saying is
no. What I'm saying is an actual
what you're saying
credit.
is you're only allowed to do.
That's an actual carbon credit.
No,
that's a carbon credit.
Wait, credit. When we talk about credit, it is the likelihood of you paying something off that you're borrowing, right?
That's not what I'm using it as. That's not the credit.
This is what credit typically is.
I don't know.
What you're saying is you're capped on how much carbon you could use. It's a carbon cap, not a carbon credit. These companies are capped with a certain amount of carbon that they can produce, and if they produce more than that, then they get fined. But that's because then they did not agree to that cap that they're supposed to be agreeing to. A carbon credit, and from what I would consider to be a carbon credit, would be we planted a bunch of trees, not because anyone told us to, but we did, and we expect to be doing things that are opposite of planting trees, i.e., burning fossil fuels. And we wanted to plant as many trees as possible to offset, because we care as a company, to being carbon neutral or carbon positive. And having that carbon cap is just we're only going to burn 10,000 tons of carbon, but we're not going to do any producing of planting trees. So there's no credit system there. It's not I just used less. I got capped off with how much I'm making, but I'm not filling in the hole that I already made.
I'm looking for a definition now.
But you see where I'm coming from?
I see where you're coming from. I'm looking for a definition right now to say what our carbon.
But yes, what people are doing are carbon caps, and companies like Tesla, who doesn't hit it, selling theirs off for so that the other company, because the other company would essentially prefer buying it from someone than paying the fine, because obviously a fine is worse than. It's kind of similar.
There's too many responses for this. Like, it's a thing. You just
kind of similar. I just think it's a step off from what we really need.
I hate this thing. This thing just goes one thing to another. It's gonna be too much Googling to find out the answer right now.
But I just think that's just one thing past.
I'll say I'm wrong for now just because I don't know if I'm right. I can't say I'm right because I don't know if I'm right yet. I'll come back to this.
Okay.
In another episode. I can't argue this right now.
We'll bring it up another time.
I can't argue this right now. I'm going to say I'm wrong for now.
Okay. Cool. I'll take it. Let's go into the what's it called? E-waste.
What about it?
What's the issue with e-waste?
What do you mean, what's the issue?
Like,
I love how you ask me a question and then I forget this is recording and I forget why you're asking it. But I need you to stop asking me questions you know I know the answers to. Just tell me what it is. Like, just don't tell me, what's e-waste, and then get into it with me.
All right,
this guy. It just throws me off.
All right, e-waste. We talked about earlier about the efficiency of like your technology.
There you go. You're getting better. There you go. That's how you lead it in. You don't just ask me what's e-waste, just lead it in.
We talked earlier about the efficiency of miners.
Yeah.
And how the more efficient your miner is, the more profitable you are.
Yeah, you gotta throw out the old ones.
Yeah. People get very efficient
by throwing them out.
At producing better miners. So yes, just as efficient as we get at doing that, we get just okay.
You throw them out just as
out with
fast.
these things. It makes no sense to have them. And that does pose a huge threat to the environment.
Because also I'm assuming those miners also have a shelf life.
They do.
You can only use them for an X amount of an X time period before they're burnt out.
Before the mine. Yeah, essentially, yeah. They just get slower over time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, apart from getting,
they get slower. Besides, like away from the advancement of how much faster they are getting.
Okay.
Like, you make a product, it's gonna slow down in its hash rate, but then at the same time, there's new technologies coming.
No, I know that. But I meant even if they didn't produce new miners, mm-hmm. the miners you do own mm-hmm. have a shelf life mm-hmm. of top speed and top performance before they just die on you. So even if we just didn't produce more and they still died, you would still have to replace those.
Correct. And at that point, that is out of the system. There's no economic benefit to those miners.
So I guess that's where the e-waste really comes in. Well, not they die, but just because they also mm-hmm. replace it. The e-waste comes in, then we have nothing to do with them.
We don't really have anything to do with them besides
you can't, because for the most part, they're only usable for the same purpose, and no one's gonna buy old miners.
Yeah, graphics. No, because before Bitcoin miners or crypto miners were ran on graphics cards,
and then you can just keep on using graphic card,
and then you could use it as a graphics card. But ASICs are just way beyond graphics cards. But
yeah, what's the best way to say what they are? They're a computer just meant to mine Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's a specialized tool. A specialized tool for mining Bitcoin. Exactly. Or for mining crypto.
Yeah.
Versus graphics cards is supposed to be for rendering graphics on your computers, but they also kind of work the same way, but they're just not specialized for producing a hash.
Producing a hash.
Yeah. So over time, the only thing to deal with that would be recycle and.
But at that point, it's
that becomes that's the part where
it's how fast we're throwing away those old miners to then mm-hmm. make them useful for something else, mm-hmm. which sometimes are, sometimes they're not. And also not just e-waste standalone on its miners, but also e-waste, your phones, your laptops, all that. You can't really.
Yeah, that's just in everything in general.
Yeah.
The only thing is I know that they have is gold. A lot of electronics have gold.
Yeah, but it's not enough.
It's a tiny, but it's still when you get you get containers full of e-waste.
Correct, but it's
That's good enough to start pulling it apart and start scraping. That's what the gold rush. Do you know how much gold they were finding? Like, it was.
That was different.
Why?
You found a little nuggie,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you kept on digging, there were more nuggies.
Yeah,
Because it was it was just a super.
You had to find the nuggie though.
Yeah, but typically when you found one nuggie,
You find a lot.
you'll find a good amount.
Yeah,
of nuggies.
true. I understand that.
Because
This is how this is different. E-waste. The nuggies are right in front.
Yeah, but you're gonna tear up this huge ass laptop. Not huge, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a sliver of gold.
Yeah.
How much? I mean, I'm assuming once you get good at finding it, you'll get pretty efficient.
Yeah. Once you. Yeah.
I'm not gonna argue this because people do this all the time. People literally go undercard and steal their catalytic converters to get the titanium out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna argue you.
Yeah, no, it's just a thing.
This is a real thing.
It's just okay, but this is kind of like where I think about like those like dystopian movies or sci-fi movies where like there's wastelands and like just people are like scrapping stuff.
Yeah,
That's pretty much like what that is. It's just like finding what you can and scraping away. Yeah, that part does need to be dealt with, but that's not like that's not something that's dealt with the chain. So I don't know how that would be governed. That would be something that
yeah. Well, that's part of the
governments can definitely try to regulate.
Well, that's part of the thing also that they want. They're like whenever I say people, I mean those who are against either crypto or like whatever the movement is, just like a huge generalization. They like saying they want governing bodies to add governance over the waste or just the usage of consumption of electricity for crypto or Bitcoin or whatever.
Like Elizabeth Warren.
What about her? She wants that? No, I thought she just didn't like crypto, Bitcoin, or another thing.
She's assembling an anti-crypto army. That was the headline.
Oh, so you're putting a name to the haters?
Anti-crypto army?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna start calling them, the anti-crypto army.
That sounds like a pretty fun name.
I mean, start looking for enemies now, right? Start when you're young, kids.
Don't look for enemies.
That's what you do.
No,
That was just the headline.
that was just the headline.
Say allegedly, just in case.
Allegedly.
Just in case.
This guy.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I'm at a loss for words.
For what? How are you at a loss for words? You just told me before I even brought up the e-waste, you had like two other things you wanted to say.
Oh yeah, the whole carbon credit.
Yeah, and we talked.
All right, so let me explain that to you a little bit more. Then. Let me explain that. let me fill it in for you.
I'm gonna look at this camera now. Fill it in for me.
All right. So essentially, there is this DAO called Climate DAO that is pretty much trying to act as like the Web3 solution, the decentralized solution for the carbon credit economy. They call it the volunteer carbon market, where individuals who are participating in the DAO. By the way, this is a pretty exclusive DAO. Like, there's not that many people in it, and they require like people to be like active in their like voting process.
Okay.
But essentially, people who are part of the DAO provide like proposals for ways to add carbon to the blockchain, to that specific blockchain. So essentially, each like one of their tokens is represented by 1 ton of carbon that is removed from the atmosphere. So each project that you produce has to be worth like removing carbon from the atmosphere, and then you get funded with like their token to produce to do your project, removed from the atmosphere, and then they would mint out more.
So I can be like, let's just go plant 1,000,000 trees.
Yes. Then the DAO would have to approve that incentive, that project.
Want to go plant 1,000,000 trees?
I'm down for it. Cool. What? When you want to do it?
Okay. Continue.
All right. So then, essentially, there's like this, they have like a burn mechanic type thing. I don't think they call it burn, but it's essentially a burn mechanic where they would, you would lock up if you're trying to offset, like let's say you are reaching to their carbon limit on how much carbon you could produce. You could say, oh no, I didn't really produce that much because I partook, or I own these carbon credits that were issued to me by this governing agency, specifically ClimateDAO. That means that like you can reduce the amount of like carbon that your carbon footprint's not as big as it was because of the fact that you have these tokens that are representing 1 ton of carbon that was removed. And then the whole open market opens up from there, like what you said with Tesla, that sells its remaining carbon availability to other companies.
I can see why you wanted to say it. What I was saying wasn't carbon credits.
Yeah. Because it's missing the fact that like it's just there's a carbon limit. I'm glad that I thought of that, because like it's pretty just a limit on how much you can produce.
I'm not gonna argue this because I can't argue it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't agree with you.
Why?
I'm not gonna say why.
You can't say you can't argue it.
No, I can't argue because I can say I don't agree with you because I don't because you're just saying it's a DAO. And you're saying the token is showing that a removal of 1 ton of
correct
of emissions.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying that is a carbon credit.
It's a carbon credit because it removed 1 ton of emissions. So you have in your hands, if you had this token in your possession, what is represented, you could trade it, you could do whatever you want with it, but it doesn't technically get removed from the ecosystem until you lock it away, like you remove it from circulation, not from you having possession of it. You have to like give it up.
What's the point of using this?
What's the point of using
those carbon credits?
To reduce your carbon footprint.
But I'm not.
You are.
Yeah, I'm not. The carbon credit represents
you could buy this token from an individual who owns it, right? That means that individual who owned it, they didn't reduce carbon from the air. They're just selling it to someone who's willing to pay more for that reduction of carbon. Now, why would you pay more for that token than him? Maybe he just bought it at a time where he didn't really need it and it's pretty low. And you as an individual or an organization that has passed their carbon footprint limit needs to reduce it so you don't pay higher fees. So the same way you would buy try to increase your max from Tesla, you're buying it at a premium from someone else.
I see what you're saying, but there is no forceful implication of that in the DAO.
No, so there is nothing that would like force you to buy these carbon credits, or nothing that says, oh, if you pass a certain amount, you're going to be in trouble.
Exactly.
Correct? No. I mean, ClimateDAO is not claiming that they are like saying that you gotta reach these limits. They're just, if anything, they said it's a voluntary carbon market. You're choosing it.
I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying, since you don't have to go through them, they have
this goes to like a more like a ESG client. Like if I'm a consumer of goods and I care for my environmental well-being, I want to buy from companies that do care about the environment. You know?
I think that's just a very deep rabbit hole. So for example, what you're telling me, I don't want that to exist.
Why?
Simple. This is how I'm going to put it to you. Let's say you drive your car.
Mm-hmm.
It produces X amount of emissions.
Mm-hmm.
You have a carbon limit mixed with a carbon credit, which is how it would work. It would be it's how it's how it's working right there.
You're right. It's like
It's exactly how it's working.
That's exactly how it is. Correct.
For you to continue to drive your car, you need to get more credits. The minute you reach your credit limit, because that's your limit, your car shuts off. You can no longer spend any more credit unless you buy more credits.
That's very dystopian.
No, it's not.
No, that's dystopian.
It's not. It happens. It happens in the UAE, not for gas, not for carbon credits, but
For
if
what?
in the UAE, if you are
Seriously. I guess I'm tuning this one out.
what just happened?
The camera turned off.
Obviously, but why?
I don't know.
It's always a thing. It's just why does it turn off? You know what it is? It doesn't charge good with it like that.
Yeah, maybe not. All right.
How do you want to adjust? Because the camera just turned off. How far are we in?
An hour and 8 minutes.
It's just dead.
Yeah. Want me to change the camera?
I don't know. Whatever you want to do.
I don't know how that looks.
What?
Hold up.
We're making adjustments, boys and girls. Going in the middle? Yeah, zoom out.
Oh, this is zooming in.
Yeah, I'm saying you have to zoom out. Live adjustments are being made. Don't turn it just to me, though. That's weird. That's just on both of us, barely. I gotta scoot forward a little bit. You gotta scoot way forward. You gotta zoom more out.
I can't zoom more out. No.
There's gonna be some fun time editing this one now.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, what's going on?
What just happened here? It just turns off.
I don't know why.
We haven't figured that out.
We thought we were good. It hasn't happened in the past.
It did happen. It happened last time.
Did it?
Yes.
Oh, it did happen last time. You're right.
Happened 3 times last time, and we waited, and then we switched the batteries.
Yeah, but we thought it was like I think it's an overheating thing. Because we had the cameras on for like a fat minute too.
Also true.
Well, what were you saying?
But in the UAE, if your if your license plate passes something, it's going over a certain a speed, you can be you're immediately given a ticket. The money's immediately taken out of your account.
Mm-hmm. The money's immediately taken out of your account.
Yes.
Okay. I believe that's a thing. 100%.
Yeah. I'm not saying it gets to that. I'm saying
you're saying
it can easily get to that.
Yeah, you can say it goes in from one thing to another.
Yeah.
How about? I'm not saying that's not possible. There's very likely a thing where you're driving, and you pass your carbon footprint, and then immediately
it's like China's social credit score.
But that's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole rabbit hole you're trying to get into with that one.
I'm not trying to get into a rabbit.
I said we save that for.
I'm just making a mistake
for a little bit. All right. How about I won and reverse you.
In Uno reverse card.
Uno reverse card.
I got this.
How about while maintaining under a certain credit carbon footprint, you get issued or being carbon positive. Let's say
carbon
positive.
No.
Yeah.
Negative. You want to not produce carbon.
No, correct. Carbon negative. Not carbon positive. Carbon negative. Let's say you stay carbon negative, you get tax incentives for being carbon negative.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you're carbon negative?
Oh, me? Hell no. There's no way. There's no way I'm carbon negative. I don't expect tax incentives.
No one's carbon negative.
I don't know. That's true.
The
Actually, you know what? That might be very true.
I'm not saying everybody.
That might be very accurate.
But in the U.S., I'm gonna say 10% might be carbon. No.
There's no way. No.
Listen, man. No one's carbon negative anywhere near it.
You gotta be removing more carbon than
even Tesla's not carbon.
Yeah, there's nothing. I don't think carbon neutral.
We're not even carbon neutral.
Not even carbon.
Not even. It's not a thing.
Yeah. The thing is, what you said was like a big
It's a big what? It's literally what they're saying.
what?
It's one implementation away from that.
No, because they're not forcing you to have those carbon.
Well, I meant like if it was a government, an actual government agency,
Mm-hmm.
it's like one thing away from that.
Oh, but that's if it's. Who do you think would agree with that? Do you think that the majority of people who approve for freedom would agree with something like that?
Yeah, that's currently what ESG is. That's the entire thing that's going back and forth.
Yep. With ESG,
Yes.
I think we should save ESG for another episode because ESG is a good one. I think it's a fun topic to get into.
So you want to close this one out?
I think so. I think it'd be best to save the ESG and social.
So what's our conclusion then? Is crypto gonna kill the planet or not? I don't know. At the end of this podcast, I have no idea I have no idea if we killed the planet.
We literally talked a whole bunch about how it wouldn't, how it isn't, how proof of work is having a.
It's not gonna be as bad as we think. There's nowhere near it.
I don't think. Do you want me to hit the points again? You want me to hit the points?
I want to hit points. I'm not making points here. I asked a question. I asked for a conclusion.
Okay. We're using a plethora of renewable resources, mostly hydroelectric, steam powers, energy sources, as well as nuclear. You said we're getting into nuclear,
what?
Or why we don't get into nuclear?
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy.
Either way, we're using a variety of renewable resources to mine proof of work coins. There are incentives to reducing overall energy costs by implementing crypto mining, as well as carbon recapturing processes such as methane collection and coal recycling, or like reusing of used coal, to reduce the overall amount of carbon production from those unhealthy carbon emitters.
Guys, conclusion. We do not think proof of work currencies are going to kill the planet. We don't think crypto is going to kill the planet. If anything, we'll die before the planet dies. If I'm honest with you.
Straight facts.
Facts. Secondly, there are other industries that produce much more carbon emissions than Bitcoin itself. And as shown, Bitcoin at the rate it's growing shouldn't reach 2 degrees. Because there's too many dips and dips and I was going to use a different word. Whatever.
Troughs and peaks.
Maybe. And it just won't continue to grow at the rate. Also, at one point or another, Bitcoin will run out. And it will switch from mining to transaction fees.
Mm-hmm.
So then you'll be using even less power from mining to that. So it's going to shift either way. Also, the amount of consumption is less than 1% globally. For a secure, borderless transaction system. Gold. So I think we'll be fine.
Cool.
That's how you should close it out.
I wanted to hear you say it.
But
because it sounded like you weren't convinced.
No, I am convinced.
I
wanted you to convince them.
I was just giving you the points. I
don't need the points. I remember the points.
They heard me. It's just you were here.
I was here.
You seem like you weren't.
But you see,
convinced.
you're just spewing information. I like when you.
No, bro. We're having a conversation.
No. At the end, you're spewing.
We were having a conversation.
I want you to sew it together.
We were having a conversation. You just decided to look at the camera.
I like looking at it. No, because you're throwing information at me.
No, you're like, let me.
Also, because the camera catches me better here than it does on the side.
Oh, you like this camera angle better?
No, it's not about liking. It's about if I fit better in this current.
Look, have your faces covered. That's why it fits better. That's why you. That's why it looks better. That's why you look better.
Yo, that's messed up. You might be right though. You know what? Follow, like,
subscribe,
share.
Maybe.
Maybe.
What do you mean maybe?
Well, if they don't like it, I don't want them to share if they don't like it. Man, share it if you don't like it too.
Yeah, if they don't like it, I want them to share and tell people, like, yo, check out these idiots.
That we think alike. We're going to have another event at the Bend.
Next month.
Next month. May what? 8th?
8th. 9th.
May 9th.
Mm-hmm. May 9th. Oh, wait. No, May 8th, you're right. May 8th. Wait a minute, you don't even check, I'm telling you.
Apparently I'm right. We'll have another Sometimes Crypto.
Happy hour.
Happy hour.
At the Bend. May 8th.
And follow us at Sometimes Crypto.
Yeah. YouTube and Instagram.
Everywhere. Almost. Not everywhere.
Nah.
Anywhere you can get podcasts.
Definitely not Twitter.
Definitely not Twitter. Well,
I don't think I'm ever going to let that Twitter thing down.
it's fine. It's been another week of your favorite crypto podcast,
Sometimes Crypto.
The Unscripted.
Crypto Podcast.
Ayo. Bow, 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 bow.